me and my kids.
I'm just nervous because our divorce hasn't been really amicable. It's been sad, and
The secrets no one saw coming. It started quietly. No screaming, no cameras rolling, no staged TLC sit-downs with Kody folding his arms in anger. Just one book. One voice. One woman who decided she wasn't going to stay silent anymore. Robyn Brown. For years, she was painted as the jealous wife, the one who couldn't handle the so-called spiritual principle of plural marriage. She was mocked by Kody, sidelined by Robyn, and often minimized in her own family. But now, through the pages of her memoir, Robyn has flipped the script. And in doing so, she may have lit the match that finally burns Kody and Robyn's fragile empire to the ground. Because Robyn didn't just write a story about herself. She exposed the hidden architecture of control, favoritism, and manipulation that Robyn carefully constructed, brick by brick, while Kody eagerly handed her the blueprint. And once you hear what she revealed about money, about intimacy, about control, suddenly, everything we've ever seen play out on camera makes sense in the most devastating way possible. The money trail. Robyn's revelations begin with money. When Robyn entered the family, she didn't just bring herself. She brought debts. Serious debts. Over $32,000 in credit card debt, spread across 3 cards. Kody, desperate to prove himself as the heroic savior, didn't hesitate. He rushed in, ready to rescue her from the financial hole she had dug. And he didn't stop there. Robyn persuaded Kody that the family should create a joint business to pay off her burdens. Together, they launched My Sister Wife's Closet, a so-called family venture. But in Robyn's book, she lays out what we all suspected: it wasn't really a family project at all. The other wives contributed. They worked. They invested. They sacrificed. But who controlled it? Who reaped the benefits? Robyn. Robyn recalls how her own dreams, like helping her children pursue college without debt, were brushed aside, while Robyn's financial rescue became the family's top priority. It wasn't just favoritism. It was financial manipulation disguised as love and unity. And the cruelest part? Kody didn't blink. He stood there, proud, chest out, proclaiming himself the provider, while Robyn and the others quietly wondered why their sacrifices were never enough. The bedroom secrets. But money wasn't the only thing Robyn exposed. Her book goes deeper, into the one subject that the Browns never wanted to address: intimacy. Robyn revealed that when Robyn entered the family, Kody's presence in her life shifted overnight. The man who once rotated equally among the wives suddenly stopped coming to Robyn's home. Nights that were supposed to be shared became long stretches of loneliness. And when Robyn confronted him, Kody dismissed her. He minimized her pain. And worst of all, he admitted what Robyn had always feared: he was no longer attracted to her. Do you know how devastating that is, after years of raising his children, building his home, cooking his meals, sacrificing her identity, only to hear the man she gave her life to say he wasn't drawn to her anymore? Robyn's book puts those words into black and white. No editing. No TLC spin. Just the raw truth. And suddenly, the viewers who once thought Robyn was jealous or insecure began to understand: this wasn't about insecurity. It was about being abandoned in plain sight. That's part 1, Robyn lifting the veil. And if you think the financial manipulation and the bedroom revelations are shocking, wait until we move into part 2. Because that's where Robyn drops the truth about Robyn's calculated control over Kody, the children, and even TLC itself. The hidden motives and the shattered illusion. But Robyn's memoir does more than expose financial secrets and intimacy imbalances. It peels back the mask of the very foundation Kody and Robyn built their relationship upon. For years, Robyn was framed as the innocent victim, the new wife who only wanted family unity, who only wanted everyone to love each other. TLC packaged her as the rescuer of Kody's heart. But Robyn's words rip that narrative apart. She describes with chilling clarity how Robyn's arrival changed everything, how Kody's once shared time was suddenly funneled into one household. How birthdays, holidays, even ordinary dinners became uneven battlegrounds. And how Robyn, always soft-spoken on camera, quietly made herself the center of Kody's emotional world. Christine writes of the favoritism that burned like a slow poison. She recalls how her children watched Kody disappear, how they waited for a father who never showed up, while Robyn's kids had his full devotion. She doesn't just tell us what happened, she tells us how it felt. The silent cries, the invisible grief, the betrayal of watching the man she once trusted become a stranger. And then comes the revelation that could unravel what's left of Kody and Robyn's carefully crafted image. Christine alleges that Robyn didn't just walk into the family, she walked in with a plan. She claims Robyn knew what she wanted from the very beginning: security, financial power, and Kody's loyalty at all costs. That every tear shed, every soft-spoken plea, every "I just want us to be a family" moment, was calculated to position her as the only wife who mattered. Christine points to moments, subtle at first, devastating in hindsight, where Robyn would pull Kody closer, whisper to him in corners, and quietly sow seeds of doubt about the other wives. What's more shocking? Christine hints that Robyn's financial maneuvering may have gone far deeper than anyone realized. Bank accounts shifted, assets redirected, and somehow, Robyn always seemed to come out ahead. While Christine, Janelle, and Mary scraped by, Robyn had the house, the security, the privileges, all shielded under Kody's favoritism. And let's be clear, this isn't just a bitter ex-wife talking. Christine backs her claims with timelines, with receipts, with details that are hard to ignore. For fans, this is devastating. Because for over a decade, viewers were told one story: a man balancing 4 wives, trying his best. But Christine's memoir reveals another: a man who abandoned fairness, who played favorites, and a wife who allegedly helped him burn the family from the inside out. The illusion of unity, shattered. The fairy tale, exposed. And with every page, every revelation, Christine isn't just reclaiming her truth, she's obliterating the myth that kept Kody and Robyn untouchable. Because once you see the cracks, you can't unsee them. And Christine has given the world a map of every fracture in their empire. The money trail and the bedroom divide, but if Christine's memoir cracked the door open, what lies inside is far darker than anyone could have imagined. Because it wasn't just about love. It wasn't just about intimacy. It was about money, power, and control. For years, fans speculated that Robyn was the true financial mastermind behind Kody's downfall. Christine's words don't just confirm those suspicions, they amplify them. She writes of moments where money was quietly funneled into Robyn's household. Bank accounts were drained for her expenses. Properties were shifted in her favor. And time again, when Christine or Janelle raised questions, Kody's response was chillingly consistent: Robyn needs it more. You'll be fine. But Christine reveals something even more devastating: that these weren't just accidents or oversights. This was a system. A deliberate structure of favoritism that kept Robyn protected while the other wives were left scrambling to survive. And the most heartbreaking part? Kody wasn't just blind to it, he was complicit. Christine recounts arguments where she begged Kody to look at the imbalance. Times when Janelle struggled to pay bills, when Mary was left alone to shoulder business risks, and when Christine herself had to choose between her children's needs and financial security. And still, Kody defended Robyn. Always Robyn. But Christine doesn't stop there. She goes deeper. She exposes what happened behind closed doors, the intimacy divide. For years, fans had wondered, did Kody truly stop sharing a marriage bed with his other wives? According to Christine, the answer is yes. And not just with her. Not just with Mary. She claims that by the final years, Kody's physical intimacy existed only with Robyn. That his presence, his affection, his attention, everything, was hers alone. Imagine the devastation of living in a so-called plural marriage, yet realizing you're no longer seen as a wife at all. That you're simply a placeholder. Christine describes nights of waiting, of hoping, of bargaining with herself, only to realize that the man who once promised eternal commitment had already chosen someone else. And it wasn't just about affection. It was about status. About legitimacy. About who counted as family and who didn't. Because as Christine writes, once Kody shifted fully into Robyn's orbit, everything changed. Family gatherings felt staged. Decisions became one-sided. And the other wives, once considered equals, were suddenly treated as outsiders. This wasn't just neglect. It was erasure. And Christine is clear, this wasn't polygamy. This wasn't partnership. This was monogamy dressed up as plural marriage, monogamy with Robyn, while the rest were left with scraps. But here's where it gets even darker, because Christine hints at something more sinister. She suggests that Robyn didn't just accept this favoritism, she engineered it. Through subtle comments, carefully timed tears, and private conversations with Kody, Robyn built a wall around herself and her children. A wall Kody defended at all costs. And the cost? Christine, Janelle, and Mary's marriages. Their sense of self-worth. Their families. By the time Christine walked away, she wasn't just leaving Kody. She was leaving a system that had already decided she didn't matter. And with her memoir, she's making sure the world finally knows the truth. Because once you see the money trail, once you see the bedroom divide, once you see how favoritism turned into erasure, you can never unsee it. The bedroom motives and the lies, and the breaking point when Christine finally opened the door to her truth. She did not just talk about money or favoritism. She dared to tread into the one space Kody and Robyn never wanted the world to see, the bedroom. For years, Christine admitted, she had blamed herself. She thought she wasn't pretty enough, wasn't thin enough, wasn't exciting enough for Kody. She bent over backward trying to please him, changing her hair, her style, her personality, just to win back his affection. But the devastating truth hit her. It was never about her at all. According to Christine, Kody had confessed, in chilling words, that he was never truly attracted to her. That their intimacy felt like an obligation, a duty, not a desire. Imagine carrying that knowledge for decades. Imagine being a wife in a marriage where your husband looked at you with duty instead of love. And then came the final straw. Christine revealed that their intimacy didn't just fade, it ended. Kody had effectively banished her from his bed, while continuing to spend night after night in Robyn's arms. It wasn't just emotional rejection, it was a complete erasure of her womanhood, her place as a wife, her worth in that marriage. The cracks grew wider. Christine wrote that intimacy with Kody became something rare, transactional, and humiliating. She was starved for affection while watching him pour every ounce of tenderness, every kiss, every loving glance into Robyn. It wasn't just about sex, it was about validation, about being seen, about being loved. And Christine was left invisible. Her breaking point came not in a screaming match, not in a fiery confrontation, but in a quiet moment of clarity. Why am I still here, fighting for scraps of love from a man who has already chosen someone else? The tragedy is that this wasn't just Christine's private pain, it was the unraveling of the very promise of plural marriage. Because once intimacy and affection were withdrawn from one wife, the entire foundation crumbled. And Christine walked away. But the truth she left behind, the truth she put in writing, now hangs over Robyn and Kody like a guillotine. Because once these secrets are out in the open, they can never be buried again. The bedroom motives and the lies, and the breaking point when Christine finally opened the door to her truth, she did not just talk about money or favoritism. She dared to tread into the one space Kody and Robyn never wanted the world to see, the bedroom. For years, Christine admitted, she had blamed herself. She thought she wasn't pretty enough, wasn't thin enough, wasn't exciting enough for Kody. She bent over backward trying to please him, changing her hair, her style, her personality, just to win back his affection. But the devastating truth hit her, it was never about her at all. According to Christine, Kody had confessed, in chilling words, that he was never truly attracted to her. That their intimacy felt like an obligation, a duty, not a desire. Imagine carrying that knowledge for decades. Imagine being a wife in a marriage where your husband looked at you with duty instead of love. And then came the final straw. Christine revealed that their intimacy didn't just fade, it ended. Kody had effectively banished her from his bed, while continuing to spend night after night in Robyn's arms. It wasn't just emotional rejection, it was a complete erasure of her womanhood, her place as a wife, her worth in that marriage. The cracks grew wider. Christine wrote that intimacy with Kody became something rare, transactional, and humiliating. She was starved for affection while watching him pour every ounce of tenderness, every kiss, every loving glance into Robyn. It wasn't just about sex, it was about validation, about being seen, about being loved. And Christine was left invisible. Her breaking point came not in a screaming match, not in a fiery confrontation, but in a quiet moment of clarity. Why am I still here, fighting for scraps of love from a man who has already chosen someone else? The tragedy is that this wasn't just Christine's private pain, it was the unraveling of the very promise of plural marriage. Because once intimacy and affection were withdrawn from one wife, the entire foundation crumbled. And Christine walked away. But the truth she left behind, the truth she put in writing, now hangs over Robyn and Kody like a guillotine. Because once these secrets are out in the open, they can never be buried again. The bedroom motives and the lie, the earthquake after the secrets. Christine's revelations were not just another chapter in a tell-all. They were an earthquake. And when the ground shook, the Brown family could no longer pretend they were standing on stable ground. For years, viewers had suspected favoritism. They had seen the camera pan toward Kody's adoring gazes at Robyn while his other wives sat silently at the edges. They had seen him buy Robyn a mansion while Janelle and Christine struggled to provide for their children. They had seen him scold his older kids for wanting independence, while indulging Robyn's children with endless resources. But Christine's book pulled back the curtain and said the quiet part out loud, backhand index pointing right. Robyn wasn't just the favorite wife. She was the only wife that mattered. Backhand index pointing right. The money wasn't being shared fairly, it was being funneled. Backhand index pointing right. The intimacy wasn't plural, it was exclusive. And suddenly, the audience realized, this wasn't just a story of a marriage gone wrong. It was a story of betrayal on a scale so devastating it reshaped an entire family. The fallout was swift. Fans flooded social media, outraged at the depth of Kody's hypocrisy. How could a man preach about love should be multiplied, not divided while, in truth, he was dividing his heart so sharply it left scars? Mary, once the most loyal of all, could not ignore it anymore. Christine's words resonated like an echo of her own pain. She had endured the same silent rejection, the same loss of intimacy, the same cruel reality of watching Kody abandon her emotionally long before he abandoned her physically. Mary's silence began to crack, and whispers suggested Christine's courage gave Mary permission to finally confront her own truth. And Janelle? Her quiet strength turned to fury. She saw Christine's revelations not just as a story of broken love, but as a ledger of injustice. Every dollar funneled toward Robyn's lifestyle, every child neglected, every sacrifice made by the rest of the family, suddenly, it all made sense. Robyn, meanwhile, faced the one thing she could never control, public perception. For years she had painted herself as the victim, the peacemaker, the one who just wanted a big family. But Christine's words painted her as the architect of the collapse, the woman who knowingly stepped into a system and tilted it completely in her favor. The mask slipped. And once the world saw it, they couldn't unsee it. The show itself felt the tremors. TLC, once banking on the unique story of a loving plural marriage, now had to grapple with the reality that the story was no longer about unity, it was about betrayal, favoritism, and abandonment. But perhaps the most heartbreaking fallout wasn't on camera. It was within the children. The older Brown kids had always hinted at the imbalance, at how their father showed up for Robyn's children while failing to show up for them. Christine's revelations confirmed their worst suspicions, their father had chosen a new family over them. And so, the book was not just Christine's story, it was a torch. A torch passed to Mary, to Janelle, to the children, to the fans. A torch that burned through the lies and demanded the truth be seen. Christine had walked away, yes. But in doing so, she ignited a revolution within her own family. And once the fire began, there was no putting it out. The bedroom's final break, Christine sat in silence at her kitchen table one night. The kids were asleep. The house was still. In front of her was a single piece of paper. Divorce papers. Not official yet, not signed, but the idea was there. She stared at them, her hands shaking. For years, she had told herself to hold on, to push through, to keep smiling for the cameras, for the kids, for the dream of plural marriage that she once believed in so deeply. But that night, the truth was louder than her fear. She whispered to herself, I can't do this anymore. It wasn't just about jealousy. It wasn't only about Robyn. It was about years of being unseen. Years of cooking meals for a husband who barely sat at her table. Years of raising children who asked, why doesn't Dad stay here, and never knowing what to say. Christine remembered the last conversation she had with Kody before she left. He stood in the doorway of her Flagstaff home, arms crossed, face twisted in frustration. You're making a mistake, he told her, his voice sharp. You're throwing away our family. You're ruining everything we built. But Christine didn't feel like the one destroying it. For years, she had begged him to come around more. For years, she had tried to explain how left out she felt. He never listened. Kody, she said softly but firmly, you broke this. Not me. For the first time, she saw it in his eyes, he knew she was telling the truth. But instead of admitting it, instead of apologizing, he doubled down. He turned it back on her, made her feel guilty, made her feel like the selfish one. That night, she cried harder than she had in years. But when the tears were gone, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Strength. She packed a box. Then another. She looked around the house that had never truly felt like hers and thought, it's time to go. Christine didn't leave in anger. She left in silence. She left with dignity. But she also left with scars. Christine's memoir pulled back the curtain on that pain. Readers could feel her heartbreak through every page. She wrote about the moments no one saw, crying alone in the car after filming happy scenes for the show, hiding her hurt from her children so they wouldn't carry the burden, staying up late at night wondering if she was enough. She admitted something shocking. For years, she believed she didn't deserve more. She thought love had to be conditional. That she had to earn scraps of attention. But slowly, she realized, love isn't supposed to feel that way. Leaving wasn't just about walking away from Kody. It was about choosing herself for the first time in decades. When the book came out, fans were stunned. Many said they cried while reading Christine's words because they saw their own lives in her story. They knew what it was like to love someone who didn't love them back the same way. They knew what it felt like to stay too long in a relationship that only drained them. Christine became more than a reality star. She became a voice for every woman who ever felt invisible. And this was only the beginning of the storm. Because if Christine was the one breaking her silence, that meant Kody and Robyn could no longer hide behind theirs. The bedroom motive and the shattered the illusion when Christine's truth came out, it was like an earthquake inside the Brown family. Everything that had been hidden, everything Robyn and Kody had worked so hard to cover up, started to crack wide open. Robyn had always carried herself as though she was the perfect wife, the chosen one, the favorite. She built her image around being gentle, soft-spoken, and full of tears. But Christine's book cut right through that mask. For the first time, Robyn was not the victim, she was the villain. The world began to see her differently. Instead of the quiet, supportive wife she claimed to be, fans now saw a woman who had benefited from Kody's favoritism while the other wives withered. She had the big house, the financial security, and every night with Kody by her side, while the others got excuses, rejection, and silence. Robyn panicked. Behind the cameras, behind closed doors, she begged Kody to fix it. But Kody was unraveling too. His pride was shattered. His authority destroyed. The man who once ruled over 4 wives with confidence was now exposed as someone who played favorites, lied, and emotionally abandoned most of his family. And then came the hardest truth of all: the children were speaking out. For years, Kody had convinced himself that the kids didn't notice his favoritism, that they were too young to understand. But now they were adults. They saw everything. They remembered the missed birthdays, the broken promises, the times their father wasn't there. And they started to say it out loud. Logan, Maddie, Gwendolyn, Paydon, and so many others began to stand with their mothers. They didn't defend Kody. They didn't defend Robyn. They told the truth. And the truth hurt. The illusion of a big, happy, united plural family was gone. What was left were broken pieces: Christine, who finally found peace and freedom. Janelle, who stood strong but heartbroken after losing Garrison. Mary, who realized she had given decades to a man who never truly valued her. And Robyn, alone in her mansion with Kody, terrified that her carefully crafted story was crumbling. Because it was. Every revelation, every word Christine spoke, every tear Janelle cried, every moment of silence from Mary, it all added up to one undeniable truth: the Brown family was never about love. It was about control. It was about power. And once the truth came out, there was no going back. And Robyn knew it. That's why she cried harder, why she tried to rewrite the story, why she tried to cling to Kody like a lifeline. Because for the first time since she joined the family, she wasn't winning anymore. Robyn's desperation and the breaking point by now, Robyn's world was collapsing faster than she could control. The other wives were free, strong, and respected. Christine was loved more than ever. Janelle was admired for her honesty and courage. Even Mary, quiet for so long, was gaining strength as people finally saw her pain. But Robyn? She was drowning. She cried on camera, over and over again. But this time, the tears didn't work. Fans weren't moved by them anymore. Instead of sympathy, she got anger. People called her manipulative, selfish, and fake. The world had grown tired of her endless crying while ignoring the suffering of everyone else. Behind the scenes, Robyn tried everything. She begged TLC not to turn on her. She wanted the show to keep protecting her image. She asked Kody to defend her louder, to blame the other wives even more. But even Kody's words were losing power. His anger, his excuses, his constant blaming, it didn't land the same way anymore. People weren't listening. The children were louder. The truth was stronger. Every story from the kids, about Kody's absence, about his favoritism, about how he treated their moms, cut deeper than any excuse Robyn or Kody could give. And then came the moment Robyn feared most: her own children began to question her. For years, Aurora and Brianna believed every word their mother told them. They trusted her version of events. But when the world around them started to expose the lies, cracks appeared. They saw Christine's strength, Janelle's heartbreak, Mary's quiet endurance. They saw the truth that couldn't be hidden anymore. Robyn was losing control. Her perfect image. Her grip on the family. Even her children's blind loyalty. And through it all, she clung to Kody. But Kody wasn't the man he once was. He wasn't the strong, confident father of a big plural family. He was bitter, angry, and broken. His pride was gone. His wives were gone.
I don't know much about your relationship with Janelle.
Yeah.
Did you just have a great... Did you guys just have great sex?
The final motive and the lie come with a big fight. It didn't come with a screaming match or a dramatic explosion. It came quietly, almost naturally, like a door slowly closing that could never be opened again. TLC made their choice. They stopped centering the story on Kody and Robyn. The cameras turned instead to Christine, Janelle, and Mary, the women who had lived through betrayal and heartbreak, but who were now showing the world what true strength and healing looked like. Christine's home became the new center. Her laughter, her honesty, and her love for her kids made the show feel alive again. People tuned in, not for drama, but for inspiration. They wanted to see how Christine rebuilt her life after years of pain. Janelle brought truth. She didn't hide the grief of losing Garrison. She didn't hide the struggle of raising her children while being ignored by Kody. Her raw honesty connected with viewers who had lived through their own heartbreak. And Mary, the woman who stayed silent for so long, finally found her voice. She told her story, not with anger, but with calm, powerful truth. Her strength wasn't loud, it was steady. And that made it even more impactful. Together, these three women carried the new story. They weren't sister wives anymore. They were survivors. They were mothers. They were free. And where were Kody and Robyn? Alone. Left behind in their mansion, with fewer and fewer cameras visiting. Their story was no longer the one people cared about. Their control was gone. The children rarely called. The fans no longer defended them. Even TLC didn't rely on them anymore. Robyn's tears no longer worked. Kody's anger no longer mattered. The world had moved on without them. The family was broken, yes. But out of that brokenness came something new: freedom, truth, and healing. And as the